Escuchen esta reverenda mamada. Are you ready?
Spanish language is not a Latin American language. It's a language the Spanish conquistadors forced upon Latin American people. Spanish language is not a Latin American language. It's a language the Spanish conquistadors forced upon Latin American people. Spanish language is not a Latin American language. Spanish language is not a Latin American language. It's a language the Spanish conquistadors forced upon Latin American people. Spanish language is not a Latin American language.
In audio.
Wrong.
Wrong.
That is absolutely
Wrong.
proved over and over again.
Wrong.
I cannot begin to explain how wrong this person is. Everything she said in the last few seconds is completely wrong. Oh my god. First of all, there are way more Spanish speaking people outside of Spain than in Spain. In Mexico alone, the number of people that speak Spanish are almost double. So Spanish is definitely a Latin American language. We made it Latin American. Alright? We earned that shit. I couldn't believe she actually went there. I cannot believe that she would fansplain a language to an entire group of people that speak natively that language. What is wrong with your head? Like,
look, here's the thing.
Fine. Listen,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of.
Spanish language is not a Latin American language. It's a language the Spanish conquistadors forced upon Latin American people.
and the funniest thing is that she's dead wrong about everything. Look, first of all, the language that the conquistadors forced upon us, was not Spanish, you imbecile. The language was called Castellano. Not only that, there were many different dialects of what would later be considered Spanish that all the conquistadors spoke. There was many like Aragonés, Leonés, Gallego, Catalan, Andaluz, specifically Andaluz, and many more, but specifically Andaluz because researchers have found that Andaluz is the language that has the most resemblance with the Spanish that is spoken in Latin America. So first you got that wrong. It's Castellano. Why is it Castellano? And this is very important because Castellano was the official language of La Nación Española back then, right after La Reconquista, where they took back their land from the Moors, los Moros, that had domain over Spain for over 800 years. So after they took back their land, the most powerful kingdom in the Península Ibérica was Castilla. The king and queen of Castilla, who would be later known as the Catholic king and queen. Yeah, that's right, the same guys that sent the conquistadors to America, that gave all the money for that. They were from Castilla, so most of them spoke Castellano. So the king and queen used the language Castellano to unify Hispania, which was what it was called back then, Hispania. Not Spain, Hispania, which where the name España derives, obviously, but it's Latin. It means the land of silver or something like that. It was called like that because there was a lot of silver, so it was a precious land. A lot of people wanted to take the resources out of that weak region of the world. So first it was the Romans that had domain of Hispania for 200 years. And then the Moors, who had domain of Spain for more than 800 years. And this is the reason why Spanish was born. When the Romans conquered the Peninsula Iberica, let's just say they forced their language upon them. They didn't do it nicely. The people that were living there had no other choice. So they learned Latin, a spoken version of Latin that was called Vulgar Latin. After that, the Romans got weaker and the Iberians got Hispania. And shortly after, the Moors came in, which the Moors are North African Muslims. They refer themselves as Umayyad, something like that. And they took domain of Spain for over 800 fucking years. And again, forced their language upon them. And that's the reason why Spanish has over 4,000 Arabic words. And that's the way that Spanish was formed. It was not called Spanish back then. First it was called Iberian Romance, which was Iberian Latin, or, Iberian Latin. Then it got combined with Arabic, and then combined with the different dialects that were spoken in all the regions. The dialects that I mentioned before, that's where the language Spanish comes from. This is Español de España. Now, Spanish itself is a language that was born from oppression. What's your point here? Your point is that no one should speak any language because it was born from oppression? What happened is such a logical conclusion. If you're from a weak country, you're going to adapt to the countries that surround you. And you're going to learn their language eventually. And you're going to get words from that language to your own language. That's what happened with the Moors first, and then the Romans before them, and the Phoenicians and the Greeks before them. But obviously you don't know any about this shit, which is easy to look up. I didn't know it either. I looked it up on Google. I look for reliable sources, both in English and Spanish, which I have that advantage because I speak both language natively, so I understand. Nobody forced their English upon me, but you know who the English force their language upon? Like what I said before, you're coming to Gringosplain Latinos about their own language in English. Do you know what the British did? What the British Empire did? Have you read any history? I mean, if you came out speaking Nahuatl and said this very same message, maybe I would say, okay, let's hear her out. Maybe that would make sense, but you're saying it in English. The Spanish had 35 colonies. Overall, the English had twice. Do you know what English is? El lenguaje universal? Guess why? Guess fucking why? So you are Gringosplaining me without even knowing what you're talking about, because your argument about conquistadors is so brain-dead. It was 300 years ago. Imagine that Spain would come out and say, hey, yo, Moors, pay us reparations. And dude, like, saying that Spanish is not a Latin American language is so disgusting. Ah, perdón. Ah, no sabía. No, entonces, ¿qué idioma hablo? Oye, ma, ¿qué idioma hablo ahora? ¿Ahora qué idioma hablo? Fuck, man. What language are we Latinos allowed to speak according to you? Tell me, no, tell us Latinos, because you certainly know a lot about Spanish language and Latino culture. That's something that I know for sure that you know way more than a Mexican. Not Mexican American. No, none of that bullshit. A Mexican that was born here, that lived his entire life here. And the fact that many people like you out there think that they can claim that they know more about the experience of being Latino than someone that actually lives in a that has lived his entire life in a country in Latin America. Like I said before, cha-cha is a slur in Mexico, no doubt about that. You cannot say that word without getting banned. You know, in the context of saying it to another person, to another human being, because it's demeaning, it's disgusting. You cannot call a girl with a disability cuquita. I'm sorry, but you can just not do that. What are you doing? What are you doing? Hundreds of thousands of Latinos everywhere agree. But it doesn't end there.
The only reason we're Latin people and not Native American people is because of that distinction.
What are you talking about? Obviously, there are people in Mexico and Latin America that are Native American.
So be mad at me all you want for misspelling words in Spanish. Be mad at me all you want for mispronouncing words in Spanish. That doesn't take away from the fact that I am a Mexican American, Native American woman.
First of all, nobody is angry here. Okay? Let me show you the comments that she received. Would you perceive? These are the comments she received that infuse this lunatic, deranged rage about things that you know nothing about. These small comments. Would you say those comments are angry? Or would you say that those comments are criticism about the stereotypes in this show and people laughing at the show because it's ridiculous? And then you come out and Gringosplain Latinos their own language, that we shouldn't speak Spanish because the conquistadors who got conquered before, and then got conquered before that, and then before that they also got conquered, and then they conquer us, and they taught us the language that was born out of the previous two conquers, the previous two conquistas. And then you claim to be a Mexican American, Native American. 2 seconds before that, you literally said that Latin American cannot be, that Latinos cannot be Native American because the conquistadors did something that I cannot say in YouTube to our ancestors, right? So you claim to be a Mexican American, which you are, but then you claim to be also Native American. So where's that distinction? And you wouldn't be Native American, you would be Native Mexican, which is different because American means USA in America, because Native American means native from America. And you even posted your parents yourself, you posted that they were from Mexico, both of them. And this is the comments that she has about Mexico. What a shithole country. País de mierda. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. We Mexicans, we are really critical of our country because of the situation, the shit situation that we're living. With the violence and the shootings and the, fighting against cartels and the corruption and the insecurity, you know, the violence again, and the violence, and the violence, and the violence, etc., etc., etc. You don't have the right to call our country a shithole country because, like you said yourself, your parents escaped this country in order to give you a better life. And you probably work hours after hours, no sleep, barely eating, giving you everything so, like you said, you could live your dreams. And then you do something like this as an homage for their heritage. And I don't care if you are not the creator of the show, you are the main character, you are the main voice actress. And for some reason you think you have the agency to talk in behalf of the fucking show, because you are doing that right now. You are talking on behalf of the show. You are saying that to Latinos on behalf of the show because you are a representative of the show. And you didn't say, hey guys, this feels a little bit weird, you know. You are Mexican. You are supposed to know what cha-cha means. If you don't know what cha-cha means, what do you want me to tell you? Go and tell a Mexican cha-cha to their face, literally. Go and call a female Mexican cha-cha. Not muchacha. Not muchacha is different. Cha-cha. Right to their face. Or go to a Latino community and scream, te quiero agarrar la cuquita. Out loud. Scream it out loud. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Let's see who gets cancelled first. You or Donald Trump. Because right now, you sound way more racially insensitive than Donald effing Trump. Like I said, nobody's angry here. This is the shtick of the show, literally. I get angry and I rant about things which makes me really happy. And I love to do it. Nobody's angry here. You are literally making a fool of yourself. You are outing yourself as an ignorant. Imagine saying something so disgusting as telling Latino Americans that Spanish is not their language. We conquered that language back through years and years. How many words from Latino and Caribbean and South American and Central American and all the nations that I forgot to mention? How many words have Spanish borrowed from those languages? We don't speak Spanish from Spain. We don't speak español de España. No mames. Hablo español mexicano. Cuando yo hablo español mexicano, carajo. Y en Puerto Rico hablan español puertorricense. En Dominicana hablan español dominicano. Y cubano. Y argentino. Uruguayo. ¿Cuántos países más que quieren? Todos hablamos un dialecto distinto. Nosotros no hablamos español de España. We speak our own dialect. If I go to Spain, they are probably not going to understand half of what I'm saying. Because I have my own dialect. Because we have our own dialect. And if I go to Catalonia, I'm not going to understand because that's their own dialect. It's not even Spanish, but it's in Spain. So yeah, there's such a thing as nuances on language. I don't know what else to say about this. It's completely... I don't know what else to say about this. It's completely deranged. You're doing a kids show. But yeah, Latinos don't want their kids to be taught those stereotypes. To be listening to slurs on Disney Plus. On Disney Channel Kids. They don't want to be listening to the word cuquita being handled around. And that's why people are giving you backlash. That's why people are giving you legit criticism with actual arguments. But you choose to answer in the worst way. Again, I cannot stress this enough. Imagine how disgusting would be. Gringosplaining. She created the term gringo. Well, I created the fucking term. I appropriated. Fuck it. Trademark. Gringosplaining. Explaining to all Latinos where our own language comes from. It's really, really disgusting. I don't even know what else to say about this. All I can say is I really hope that they release this show quickly so we can tear it apart on the show. Yes. Y eso es todo, amigos. I hope you enjoyed it and have a great week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And see you soon in the next video. Bye.
The Spanish language is not a Latin American language. It's a language the Spanish conquistadors forced upon Latin American people.
A mí qué hijuela verga me vas a venir a decir acerca del idioma que hablamos nativamente, chamaca cagona. Si ni hablar español sabes, hija la verga. Una vez que hagas vomitado, cagado y miado en mi país, me vienes a decir. Ahí sí consideraría escuchar tu valiosa opinión. Pero como en tu pinche vida te has limpiado la cola con papel de baño de mi tierra, you keep my goddamn language out of your goddamn mouth.